As a child, I remember being told the tale of the epic race to the South Pole between Great Britain's Captain Scott and Norway's Roald Amundsen, and then learning of Amundsen's iconic victory and the tragic end to Scott. Amundsen made it to the South Pole a month before Scott on the 14th of December 1911, leaving a note behind him to inform Scott that essentially he got there first, which must have been crushing to Scott. So, who was Amundsen? This man who played such a central role in what was to become known as the heroic age of exploration. Amundsen was born to a ship-owning family in Borge, Norway in 1872. He was the fourth son of the family and promised his mother he would not get into seafaring and instead become a doctor. When she died, he promptly quit university and went off to a life at sea, aged 21. Amundsen was heavily influenced by John Franklin's books, he of the Eating His Boots fame, please see my other video, which detailed his overland expeditions in the mid-19th century. These tales of daring do and pushing the polar frontier really resonated with Amundsen, and he even said they encouraged me to see myself as a crusader in Arctic exploration. So, when he was 25, Amundsen joined the Belgian Antarctic expedition. After the ship he was on became stuck in the ice, the crew narrowly avoided scurvy due to the clever doctor on board who, knowing that fresh meat would keep them all healthy, went out hunting to feed the party. Amundsen learnt a lot on this expedition, and it whetted his appetite for further polar adventure. In 1903, he led the first expedition to traverse Canada's Northwest Passage. His plan was to take a party of only 6 men and a boat with a shallow draft so that he could hug the coast. This ship was called the Joa. On the trip, they overwintered twice at King William Island. The harbour they moored in is now called Joa Haven. Amundsen was one of those explorers, like John Ray before him, who recognised the value of learning from and working with local people. He spent time with Netsiluk Inuit and learned all about using sled dogs, wearing animal skins which repelled water instead of wearing heavy cable knit jumpers, and he learned other invaluable survival skills. On the 17th of August 1905, Amundsen cleared the Canadian Arctic archipelago. It must have been an incredible feeling for him after reading all about Franklin's trips for years to finally traverse the Northwest Passage himself. He was the one who actually made it through. In 1909, Amundsen indicated that he was going to go to the North Pole, but when he heard that 2 Americans were separately claiming that they'd made it there, he changed his mind, turned his ship, the Fram, around and telegraphed Scott, "Beg to inform you, the Fram proceeding to the Antarctic." It took 6 months, but Amundsen reached his base camp on the 14th of January 1911. He embraced what he learnt from the Inuit on this expedition to great effect. He wore fur-lined skins and used dog sleds and skis. He took 5 men, 4 sledges and 52 dogs, which they killed and ate on the way. Sounds brutal, but it was essential for survival. On the 14th of December 1911, the team and the remaining 16 dogs arrived at the South Pole. On the 25th of January 1912, they were back at their base camp with 11 surviving dogs. Scott and his party did not survive their grueling return journey. Amundsen's genius on this expedition was his survival skills, his exceptional planning, and his dog handling abilities. His party also only had one goal: to reach the South Pole, without having to collect scientific measurements and samples en route like Scott did. Amundsen went on to become the second person in history to navigate the Northeast Passage, and he also became interested in aerial expeditions. In 1925, he managed to fly to the northernmost latitude reached by a plane at that time. In 1926, Amundsen and 15 men made the first crossing of the Arctic in an airship called the Norge, becoming the first party to fly over both the North Pole and the Arctic Ocean. Amundsen's last expedition was on the 18th of June 1928, when he flew on a rescue mission to the Arctic to look for an airship which had crashed. Unfortunately, Amundsen's plane disappeared and he was never seen again. Amundsen, like his hero Franklin before him, was an avid storyteller who published several books on his expeditions. Also, like Franklin, his death remains a mystery. However, his skills, his work with Inuit, and his ability to push frontiers make him one of the greatest figures in the field of polar exploration.